I beat you in this putting contest and you go up and you win Bay Hill, you got to tell everybody uh, Brad Faxon beat you in a putting contest. And he laughed. And then he made 3 of the next 5 to beat me.
Oh man.
And I'm like, oh man, I woke him up and he said, you know what? When I go up and win Bay Hill this week, I'm going to tell everybody I beat you in a putting contest. And it was kind of cool because I'm kind of curious, how often had somebody said anything to him about winning? And
Hmm.
he went that week to Bay Hill, and early in the week, I think he played with Adam Scott. I'm sorry, with Justin Rose, and he he hit it out of bounds on Friday on 18, and it was the first time I think in a long time he scored better than he hit it because he putted very well, and he went on to win by 4 and had a great Sunday round. And it was lightning in a bottle, but we've been together now for 7+ years. I think he doesn't need me to stand there and watch him hit
Hmm.
putts every single day. That's for sure. At the Masters this year, we had spent a little bit of time the week before at home, um, like Michael Bannon said, and Rory doesn't need me to stand behind him and watch every single putt. He doesn't need me to tell him how to warm up. Um, but at the same time, I think he's gotten to the point where he knows what his 2, 3, or 4 tendencies might be and how to fix them.
Hmm. It seems like when he was, I guess, I can't remember what the years were, but I just always remember the putter being kind of chased down the line. Like the putter head, like almost looked like it was going past his head, and then it looked like it was struggling for him to really release the putter head, or covering the golf ball, if you will. Was that something that you noticed that he had a bit of a push tendency to maybe where he's just chasing it down the line, and now it swings beautifully on an arc.
Yeah. So if you think about it, and if I talked to his father, who's a member at Seminole and friends with Michael Bannon. When he was taught to play, he had hands forward. He had that stroke similar to Phil Mickelson, a blocking style sort of
That's right.
release, and that's something that he had embedded in him from early on. And
It's
you know
good.
he
I'm sure it
used
was good on slow greens though, growing up
it
in Ireland. Gets the
probably
ball
growing
rolling.
up on those slower greens. You had an offset blade style putter, which maybe would encourage that a
Mm.
little bit. And now that he's been using this spider mallet for 5 years, 6 years now, um, that maybe encourages a little bit more release. The simplest drill, and I would encourage anybody that's listening to do this, is right hand only practice putting, and that
Tiger did it for
helps.
years.
Oh, and he was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And that's a good feeling for anyone, and for Rory to feel like at impact the shaft's back to vertical. You're using the true loft to the putter, and then the putter head passes the hands.
Hmm.
It's the opposite a little bit, and he's really like that putting drill. Um, you can feel casual about it, which is kind of the mood you're trying to have when you putt. And honestly don't think he can do enough of that because it's got that nice release where the vertical release of the putter where the head passes the grip, and then the horizontal release where the toe passes the heel,
Hmm.
all in
All,
one simple
all
little
great things,
drill.
right?
And you know you're trying to let players do something that allows the putter to work the right way without having to think about how it works the right way. And
Hmm.
I think that's been a good combination for him.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, and talking a little bit about swing instructors and cheating on your coaches. Well, you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth, as in we're both naturally gifted on the greens. It comes easy to us, like when we get on a green, there's just intrinsically things that we can't explain of how we know it, but we just do. Um, the golf club, swinging a golf club. I was not nearly quite as naturally gifted and talented with specific things that make somebody an elite ball striker. I've had to really uh, learn information as I've gone. I've always been a good wedge player, but the longer stuff I've always struggled with a little bit when it comes just with some technique stuff. For you, Brad, was it difficult when you were playing and having to go bounce around to swing instructors with a bunch of information and staying consistent to it? Because you just talked about how simple you coach and how simple the putting is for you, but the full swing, quite the opposite, and it led you to a lot of success. But also, do you wish you would have just stuck with some one person along the way?
Yeah, Smiley, I have a list. It's a torn sheet here of all the different people I've paid to have lessons from, and it gets close to 100.
Oh my
You
God,
know, and
you
I'm
got
trying to
me
do it
beat, man. You got me beat.
chronologically, and I'm trying to do it from the coaching trees. Who worked for Harmon, who
Sure,
worked for Ledbetter, who
sure.
worked for McLean, and there's a lot of them. But when I did play my best, to answer your question, I stuck with the same guy for a lengthy period of time. Whether it was Jim McLean, David Ledbetter, I had journeys with them, and then some more obscure coaches that helped me out that I stayed with for a while. But to me, it's some of the stuff that you need to do is hard to explain. I have a really good friend named Adam Oates. Adam Oates was one of the greatest hockey players that ever lived, one of the all-time assist leaders. I think he coaches 75 players um, in the NHL now on body awareness, puck and stick handling drills. And when you talk about other sports, it's hard to explain sometimes. Like if you're playing hockey and you have to uh, pass the puck to one of your teammates that's skating fast down the other side of the ice, and you have to decide how to release it, at what height. Is it going to stay along the ice? Is it going to be over a defender's stick? How do you teach that? And I would call that touch. And now I hear so many people, you got to get better at lag putting and distance control. And we did all that stuff without having a name for it. You just got good at it by practicing a lot, and some of it you can't explain. And sometimes experimenting around with a different putter or trying to have different feels can help you out without going down a path that I went down with a full swing. And I think for Rory, one of the things that he's so good at, first of all, he's talented, right? I mean, he's one of these
Hmm.
guys with speed. How can you say this guy who's, a few years ago he was 5'8" or 9", weighed 165 pounds. Now he's close to 180. He's as strong as there is. He's hitting it as hard as he has ever in his career. How do you teach that? And there's certain things that you have to spend time doing it. And I know for Rory right now, he's not going home at night worrying about his putting stroke. And
Yeah, for
if
sure.
that's my job, that's a good thing. His statistics have been better the last several years. I think going into last week at the PGA, he was 10th or 11th in putting
Hmm.
statistics. And guys like Scotty and Rory, if they crack the top 50 in putting, they're going to be impossible to beat. Never mind the top 10. And it's just great to see him feel so much better about that part of his game.
Man, you and I were you at Working Hero this past year? I'm trying to remember if you were
I,
with
I
us
haven't
this.
been there. I will be there this year. I can't wait to do that.
It's a fun event, but I remember I was in the booth this past year, and on Thursday, all of a sudden we see Scotty pop up with the claw grip or the saw grip, and we're just like, what in the world? What is this guy doing? He just won 7 times this last year, won an Olympic gold medal, and next thing you know, he's got this whole new grip. And like you said, I mean, Scotty's all the way up in the top 15 in putting this year. And the question I want to ask you about this is, for someone like Scotty who was as poor with the putter. I mean, he was, what was he, outside the top 150, outside the top 170 in putting only a couple years ago, and we constantly talked about it leading into shows, the end of shows. Like if Scotty can just putt average, he's going to win a lot of golf tournaments. And for someone like him to make technical changes like he did and see this much improvement, for you as a coach, are you someone to suggest, hey, if you were able to get into this saw position, it would clean up the technical part of your stroke, or would you let somebody kind of lead you to that point?
Boy, I don't know how to do that, and I say it frankly.
No, we're
have
not.
some fun?
No, if the
What do
Knicks
you
are losing,
mean?
I'm gonna be miserable.
Be fine.
I'm gonna be miserable. You know what? I'm saying Knicks are winning tomorrow.
Oh.
Fuck it. Here we go. Knicks are winning tomorrow. See that guy? No, that's the wrong guy. See that guy? See him? He's over his assist prop. Jalen Brunson. He's going over his assist prop.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Skubal again. Skubal's winning the Cy Young, no shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
When a guy decides that something's happening, and it's usually if you're conventionally gripped and right-handed, if your right hand starts doing something, getting a little too involved, I guess is the right way to say it, then you experiment. Do you go to left hand low? Do you go to saw or claw variations? Do you go to the broomstick? I know I spent a little time, about a year maybe, with Lucas Glover a few years ago, and it was one of the several people that was helping him to, hey, let's go. We got to try something that can't get worse, right? When you go to the alternative methods. And I don't know with Scotty if this was Phil Kenyon, who's been very helpful to him, obviously, or if it was Randy Smith and Scotty that say, let's try this because it'll get that right hand. I don't know if it's
it was I think it was Phil, because he was saying that the tendency, which I found really interesting in his golf swing, is that typically his right arm would get a little on the high side, and then that would cause some issues in his ball striking. So right side would get a little high, and so same with the putting, is that they noticed that his right side, his right hand would get a little bit too on top of the putter, and that it was causing inconsistencies in the stroke, maybe a little bit of a loop. And it's funny too how tendencies in somebody's ball striking and what they do, how it's all the time it translates into what they do wrong in their putting stroke.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people I teach, like amateur golfers, and I'll look at their setup, and I teach with Jason Bale at Jupiter Hills, who just got PGA of America's Teacher of the Year, Instructor of the Year. And we have this little saying: it's hard to make a golfer worse by making their setup better. And if I see something in a player with their setup, and I say, hey, I think you could use maybe a little bit more right side bend, something. I'm making it up now, but they'll go, oh my gosh, that's what Jason told me. That's what I do in my full swing. Those tendencies tend to be the same. And if Scheffler gets a little high with his right side at address, and I just think, we're talking about instructors, and you have to get to know your player and their player's tendency. How about caddies and their players? Like Ted Scott gets asked as they make the turn in the Sunday of the PGA Championship, I'm hitting these drives, are going too far left. What do you think? And Ted knows his tendencies, and he wants to keep something simple, but he doesn't want to make up any BS. He says, I think you're aiming too far left. Aim more to the right. And what a simple solution. And he pipes that drive down the 10th hole. And basically, that was the turning point for Scheffler to win the PGA.
It sure was. And have you been playing much golf, Brad? Because I remember when we were in Mexico at the beginning of our NBC swing. I mean, you're off to go and get these. What was the PRP injections? Is that what they're called? What was it? Where they spin the blood. I know you had a bad. I know you had a bad accident.
I got a bad right knee. Then I had broken my left shoulder falling off a bicycle, and then I did some stem cells down there at
stem cells. That's what it was.
At Renew, that beautiful place down there, where it's not legal in the United States to do some of the stem cell therapy with some of the FDA approval stuff, but it's been helpful. My right knee and left shoulder are bad. I played yesterday with my wife, who just walked in, Dory, in the mixed scramble event.
Ooh,
finished third, so another top third finish. But I got asked. I had dinner last night with Ian Baker Finch and some of his buddies, and they want me to come out there and play a little bit later this morning. And there's a big storm going on right now, so it might get delayed. But I still love to play. I stink, but I can go out there and always try and find something.
Would you start back playing again? Because I remember you were in a sling like late February.
Yeah, I had I fell off the bike in October, kind of a mountain bike, and crashed and hurt everything. But my arm broke the radius bone right by the elbow, and I was lucky because I didn't need surgery or anything. It just got weak and sore.
Ugh,
and my shoulder's a little bit messed
terrible
up.
Sleeping.
Yeah. And I at some point probably going to need some work on the shoulder, but I can still swing close to pain-free. And, when you have your buddies, it's hard to kind of say no to them. Baker Finch, he's crazy because, he's our counterpart on CBS. He's been doing it for 26 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays every day when he's home. I'm like,
Oh gosh, I'm so sore. I've played 2 of the last 3 days. I'm dying right now. I'm not built for it anymore.
Then you're young.
I know I am. Well, that means have you made any trips up to Pine Valley this year?
I've made 2, as a matter of fact. And, going up there, having been a member, I've been a member since 2005, so 20 years now. It's always the greatest trip to take, to bring people to, especially people that have never been, because it always over delivers.
Mm-hmm.
And like you would be, you still want to prove yourself. You want to shoot a good score. And I always try and tell my guests, look, enjoy the walk. Don't worry about if you hit a ball out of play, because you're probably not going to find it. And I'm guilty of that. I want to shoot the lowest score.
Well, sure you do. What's your favorite part about Pine Valley?
I think every hole, you could literally stand on every tee box and say, this is my favorite hole at Pine Valley, and nobody would make fun of you. I think when you invite someone that's never been there and they see it for the first time, the joy they have. And I always tell the people, as good as the experience of the golf course there is, when you drive through the little gate to come into Pine Valley, its own borough, and you see it for the first time live, you can't imagine it. And I've been lucky enough. I think Chris Stutz, who's one of my buddies and a member at Pine Valley. He lives down the street here at Old Palm, and he's got me more active there. And I've played a lot of member golf there. I don't know that it's as fun off the course as it is on the course there.
Yes, it's a very good time when you show up for dinner that evening with all the green jackets and everybody's got their own table, talking about how they played that day. And of course, it's a really good hang outside of the dinner, just to the room next to that, just sitting with a lot of people that you end up meeting and you keep in touch with. It's a very always somebody fun you run into.
Everybody has a story, whether it's a green jacketed guy or not. And one of my friends that came with us a few weeks ago shot 74. He's about a 2 or 3 handicap, and to shoot 74,
that's pretty strong.
Pretty strong. And the smile hasn't left his face. But, you can go to Pine Valley and play the short course there. They have a 10-hole short course. A lot of holes are replicas of the
I loved it too.
Second course. And you're on a golf cart. You can play some music. You can smoke a cigar.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
And if you go through CAT, that means CAT at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series where they rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too strong a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Practice range there is as good a range as you can find, isn't it? Two-sided.
Well, our host when I went was Eli Manning, and Eli took all of us out to go hit some golf balls, and it took us about 15 minutes to find the range because Eli couldn't remember where the range was.
I might use that. Yes.
So next time you see him, just say, "Hey, can you give me a ride to the range?" Or just tell me where it's at.
Well, and if you haven't been there a lot, and he's a newer member. Finding, your way in the dark on a golf cart to the cottages.
Oh, it was light out. It was that's why I give
that's worse than.
He was leading us to the abyss, but we had a great time, and he was a fantastic host. And Ricky Fowler made a hole-in-one while we were there, so that was a lot of fun.
Get out! What hole did he make a hole-in-one?
Ricky made an ace on the 3rd hole, and as the story goes, I was playing with JT, Ricky, and Justin's buddy Willie Sellers, who I played junior golf with, played at Alabama, and Justin gets onto the tee at 3, and it was that front left pin, about maybe 175, 180 to that front left hole location. It's definitely a funnel pin. You can make a hole-in-one to that pin, but it's a very very tight. You got to hit your number to be able to do it. So Justin gets up there, and he got off to a really hot start. He was flagging everything, and he gets there, and he said, "Somebody needs to film this. I'm about to make a hole-in-one." And he hits this beautiful high towering 7-iron and plugs it into the front bunker. I was like, "Good shot, man." And so we were just giving him crap about it. And I guess one of the other caddies just kept the phone open as Ricky went, and he hits this beautiful high, like the right shot shape. It starts right center of the green, moves towards the middle as it then lands right on top of that slope, right at the crest there, and then it rolls 20 feet right into the hole, and we just went nuts.
You could all see it go into that pin too.
We all could, and then Eli, Colt Nose were in the group in front of us, and they had just teed off at 4, walking up, and they heard the yells. So then all of a sudden, we're all on the green celebrating a hole-in-one, and there's also a deer right of the green that I hit right after Ricky hit his 7. I was like, how am I going to follow this up? Okay, let's just miss it to the right of the bunker.
That's outstanding. One of the great golf stats in history, Ryder Cup, Walker Cup captain and player Buddy Marucci is a member there. And Buddy Marucci has made an eagle on every single hole at Pine Valley except for the 14th hole. He's eagled 17 holes, and he made a birdie on the par 3 14th, but he's never made a 1 on that hole. But how about that for a career?
That's the most bizarre stat I've ever heard.
No, it's unbelievable. Every single hole, which means a lot. Means something. He played a lot at Pine Valley, right? And then he hit good irons. But
That's absurd. I don't think I've
no,
ever
it's
heard a stat like that.
absurd. What are they? That's called the career ringer, right? Your ringer. What's your best score
Yeah.
on each hole? And he's 2 under on every hole except for the 14th.
I can't say that at my home course here in town that I've I've made a lot of eagles out there, but
And
that
not
considering at Pine
17.
Valley the shots that
know.
you have to hit, that's absurd. Oh man, well next time I see Buddy, I might have to ask him about that.
You got to ask him about it.
Yeah,
He
you gotta
must
see
feel
if he just
pressure every
played.
time he plays 14.
Yeah, I didn't know if he just took a shag bag to every single hole to where eventually he just just made eagles. But well, as we wrap this interview, Brad, I have to talk a little bit about NBC and the U.S. Open and the Ryder Cup coming up our schedule. How pumped are you? I mean, I tell everybody, I think the events that we have at NBC, you need to throw in the players with that, and of course the playoffs. We get to call some pretty fun events.
There's no doubt about it. And this year, with the domination with Rory and Scotty, the two best players in the world, continuing, it would be unbelievable to see those two guys play.
Throwing Bryson, man.
They play
majors.
totally different ways. I played in the 1983 U.S. Open at Oakmont as an amateur. It was my last. I just graduated from Furman. I'd played on the Walker Cup. I qualified, and I've never seen anything as more difficult than Oakmont. And I think Oakmont likes to brag that they slow the greens down for the U.S. Open. I think they say all we need is 2 weeks to prepare. We don't need to grow any rough because it's always tough. This year, the rough is already a foot high.
It looks like it.
And if you ask anybody, what's the hardest course you played? And I don't mean in miserable conditions where it's cold or windy, but just on a standard day. I always say the 3 hardest courses in America start with Oakmont, where we're going to see the Open, Oakland Hills, and Oak Hill. They're just so hard, but Oakmont is above and beyond the hardest course I've ever played. I have yet to be on site to see that renovated course by Gil Hance and what he's done, but everybody tells me how hard it is. We're going to see 300-yard par threes. I can't imagine how long it's going to take to play some of these rounds.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
And if you go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I already heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Scoogle again. Scoogle's winning the Cy Young. No shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything. Like every single category, Freed is right there with him.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.